What I'm kind of tuned into is not marring this surface here that the outside of the seal has to mate against. The crankshaft on this side of the seal is a lot harder. It's harder than my screwdriver. So I think what I'm going to try first, see if I can get this done real easy. Never works that way, but I always try the easy route first. Just stick a screwdriver on the inside of this seal on the rubber part and see if I can pry it out. Give the screwdriver a twist. And my screwdriver's bending. So hey, I've got my genuine modified screwdriver here. Maybe I'll try that. Get that in here. Give it a pull. No. So I'll try this guy. It's a little heavier, straight screwdriver. Bent my screwdriver. That's probably how I got this bend, was doing something like this. Look what I just did to that screwdriver. So I need a sturdier screwdriver. Yeah, moved it that time. Let's try some more of that. Yeah. That's talking to us now. I could actually hear it creaking out of there. There we go. See how it's built? It's got a spring in there that keeps this flexible part of the rubber cinched tight against the crankshaft. So I'll get the crankshaft cleaned up and put the new seal in place. I always look at whatever the seal is rubbing against, whatever this inner lip is rubbing against, because on some machinery you'll see a groove, and it's not you wouldn't think that a piece of rubber could put a groove in a piece of hardened steel, but it happens all the time. So I take care not to position the seal when I put it back in so that the rubber to metal contact is at the same place. I find another spot that's got the full width that hasn't been worked down, and I'm not seeing any groove here, so that's not a factor. I'm seeing some looks like oil ports in here, holes that probably let oil pass. So I know I don't want my seal to go all the way. Well, it doesn't look like it'd seal up anything. So it looks like the seal could go all the way in. Looks like this surface is all the same milling, and the seal has some latitude going in and out. I know a lot of mechanics just figure that putting a seal flush is the way it should always be done, but I don't buy that. Okay, now here also I'm seeing a bevel on this edge. It slopes out at about a 45-degree angle. I don't want my seal flush, because then the outer edge of the seal is not making contact with anything, this last 1/16 of an inch. And I think that I want as much bearing here as I can get. Yeah, this is a square backed seal. So I'm gonna set the new seal in so that it's just on the inside of this beveling that's cut into the housing. Another thing that I like to look at when I'm sizing up a seal is its depth. How far could it go down? And in this case, it's the depth of that wire. Hope you can see it. Okay, so if we hold the seal up where I haven't mangled it, you can see that there's a lot of depth there. This seal can go in and out, you know, a good 1/4 of an inch, and it's still gonna mate the important surface here, and it's not gonna block any oil ports back here. So there's a lot of leeway that way. Some seals are not that way though, so that's why it's a good idea to check it out. So I'm just gonna drive this seal in to the inside of this beveled edge here, and that ought to do it. This is the seal that I'm using, just in case you're interested. And the motor is an EJ25 out of a 2008 Subaru Outback, non-turbo, single overhead cam. Looks just like the old one. Now before I try to push it on, I usually lube the inside of the seal and the outside of the metal that it's going to mate with. I make sure that the oil gets up on this back lip here so that it can slide on the crankies here. And to start with, I don't lube the outside because I don't want this seal sliding off, and that happens a lot of times when you pull pulleys. The seals come right with you, and a lot of times that's the leak, is on the outside of the seal. So I don't lube that at all, but I do put spit on it. I know all you out in YouTubeville are thinking, oh, that old jerk's putting spit on his seal. Well, I'll tell you what, spit is slippery, and then after the seal's in place, it dries. So it helps put the seal in place, but then it doesn't act as a lubricant to let your seal slide out. That's going to take some tapping. So I'll get something that is flat and clean and do a little bit of tapping here. This is an old wrist pin that I've used for a driver a few times. And what I'm doing is tapping on the high spots. The part that's the closest to me is what I put my attention on. I'm using my favorite little ball peen hammer. And you may not think that hammers make a difference. Now you'll see mechanics using an old claw hammer, framing hammer. I think it makes a big difference. A hammer is a very specialized tool. A lot of different kinds of hammers. And I know how this one feels because I've been using it for so long. Okay, you can see where we're now to where the inside lip is just about to go over the crankshaft. So I'm going to move my punch outside so I'm not hitting that lip. You can get, you know, big old seal drivers, like and I see people using PVC and cut off iron pipes and all kinds of things. And then you set it in place and then give it a thump with a big hammer. And usually a couple of thumps is all it takes. Well, if you've got a good steady hand and you trust that thumping not to damage anything, that's all right. It works. This is a more incremental, gradual approach. and I'm more comfortable with it because I don't think I'm going to mess anything up. I've also got this little guy. I don't know what it was originally. Looks like a valve, but that's not what it was. And it's real controllable. If you got a little bit of wow in it, just take your time to spot the high spot and tap there. Okay, if you were a believer in just driving the seal flush, that'd be it. I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm going to get the entire top of this seal to where it's engaged with the case seal race. Doesn't take much. I can see that bevel coming into view in the aluminum. With each little tap it moves in just a little bit. And I think I'll just target the inside of that bevel. Yeah. And that is it. I'm going to move my camera or my light and destroy my camera shot here. And just make sure that I've got it the same up here. I want to make sure the seal is back to the bottom of that beveled edge in the aluminum here. I can see it real well along here and I'm in place. I can't see this. I got another light in place here so that I could see the surface here, and it shows that my seal is set back to the inside of this bevel all the way around. I've also noticed that there's a milling on the end of the crankshaft, a bevel, at about 45 degrees. So this inner lip of the seal needs to be where it is. If this seal were just set flush with the case, this lip may be riding out here on this bevel. That wouldn't work. I think the seal needs to be inside of the aluminum here. It's about 1/16 of an inch in from this surface. The reason that I use a driver rather than just tapping with my ultra special hammer here is that I can set the driver exactly where I want it and then tap it, and and I can put the different drivers in different positions. If I'm just using my hammer, as controllable as it may be, it's a lot easier to bump into this lip on the seal. A goal for putting in this seal is to not damage that inner lip, and I think that a driver makes it much easier. You know exactly what you're going to hit. You put this in place and then you tap. If you strike with a hammer and it bounces off a little bit in the wrong direction, it would be easy to damage what you don't want to. So that's my video on installing a seal. I hope that you found something in my video that was helpful.